The Diversity and Philanthropy Project is a 3-year voluntary leadership commitment by leaders of foundations around the country to strengthen diversity in the field of philanthropy.
Diversity is the different skills, talents, and experiences we all bring to this common set of work.
Differing races, ethnicities, gender,
income, geography, perhaps even ideology,
sexual orientation, ability and disability.
A very broad definition.
And it's one that means we want to look more like America. We want to respond to America's issues. The success of the Diversity and Philanthropy Project depends on leadership. And we're talking about leadership by regional associations as well as other foundation leaders. And we are most proud of the work and the leadership being performed by the Council of Michigan Foundations.
And we're very grateful for the Michigan Foundations that are here with teams for this Knowledge Symposium to help us advance this cause. We've got to show how diversity is an asset for Michigan, and we've got to use it as an asset to build the future of this state. The Knowledge Symposium is laying the groundwork to really create a learning community. We've got to get foundation trustees, foundation staff, we've got to get different types of foundations together. There's never been a more important time for us to take this on.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Gatewood. I am a program officer with the Kresge Foundation.
I'm Juan Oliveras from the Kalamazoo Community Foundation.
And I'm Kathy Horton. I'm the president of the Community Foundation of Greater Flint. My greatest interest is inclusion.
You make decisions about whether you're going to be inclusive or not. Inclusive in your board, inclusive in your fundraising, inclusive in those you support.
Diversity and inclusion is both personally and professionally really important to me. One of our core values is diversity and inclusion. But when you really get down to actual policies and articulated practices, they aren't there.
I come to this work focused on women and girls, so I come with a gender lens.
Sexual orientation and identification.
Race, disabilities.
A youth perspective.
There is this urgency, there is this sense that we as a country, as a state, are losing ground. And we can see that if we continue to ignore these issues, the future is bleak for our children, for our country, and for our globe.
First, I come here with my hat on as the president of the Kellogg Foundation.
When I came to the foundation 3 years ago, everybody asked me, what are you going to do to change the foundation, Sterling? And I said, I didn't come here to change the foundation. I came here to change the world.
I'm here to share and learn at the same time.
We ought to be able to help create change.
That's the most important work I'd like to see happen.
For so many reasons, now is the time, and I'm just proud that the Council of Michigan Foundations and the Diversity and Philanthropy Project, with so many other partners, have come together and said, we're going to work on it now.
The value of gathering data is it gives us an opportunity to know where we stand. We're able to say concretely where it is that we begin.
The first thing is this demographic study, which many of you were a part of, an aggregate demographic survey of foundations. So a total view of what their staff and board members look like, what their executives and their chairs look like. We're looking at race, ethnicity, and gender so we can see how representative our foundations. Some of the things that immediately pop out are the average board is predominantly white, the average staff is predominantly white. With a few exceptions, percent of persons of color are below the state average and below the regional average. If we look at sex, on our board level, we have about 60-40 male to female. And then that flips when we look at executive staff below the CEO level. As Mary said, this is a baseline, and so there are lots of questions that come out of this. The power of the numbers is the conversation that it creates afterwards.
What does this really mean for us?
Why are you measuring? What are you measuring? What are you doing with what you're measuring?
What does that say about how we value or think about different forms of diversity?
Question, so what?
We still struggle with how to have these conversations.
What is it that we want to say? Not just to report out what is, but what do we want to be?
We have a lot of work to do. Over the years, the data really hasn't changed. It has not really gotten better.
Why have we not gotten as far as we'd like to be?
How do you have a conversation about something as emotional, personal, professional? How do you communicate about all of that in a way that speaks to everybody equally?
So here's my story. Recently I was hiring an executive assistant. I just promoted my assistant to grants manager. And I went through the normal course of what I've done in my career to find a new assistant, which is I call people I know. So we interviewed 3 people, 3 women, and I was driving home from a meeting in Brightmoor, and I realized that the 3 people I had interviewed, none of them needed health insurance. And that struck me strange as I was driving home from a community where there were people there that would do dramatic things to get health insurance. It would change their life. That would be a game changer. And I realized I was doing something really wrong. I had a job worth $45,000 a year with insurance, health insurance, life insurance, 403B, and I was about to perpetuate structural poverty and structural racism unconsciously. As someone in power, as a straight white male, what can I do when I'm sitting with my foundation CEO colleagues at another meeting about something else to say, I'm struggling with this. Have you struggled with this? White males in power talking to white males in power, I guess. I don't know if that's a scary thing. And so we ended up scrapping the process and saying, I've got to start again. We're working together with some of the grantees in the neighborhood that we're focused on, trying to find someone. That's our responsibility, personally and institutionally.
I'm the executive director of the Ruth Mott Foundation. Our mission is to nurture vitality and nurture hope and pride in the community of Flint. Diversity and inclusion is something we've embraced from the very outset.
Even school performance, if you could. I've been here in this community since I was 2 years old. I attended the Flint Community Schools. And so what I believe I bring to this work is a person who's not only very experienced in grant making, but a person who has walked in the shoes of many of these young people. What I hope to see in philanthropy is staff and board that reflect the communities that they serve.
Yes, I was so glad that
and people being there because the people who hired them know that they bring value.
Yeah, and then the social equity.
Well, you take these then.
Okay.
What I've experienced here has been the foundation truly values diversity, values inclusion. And so I've been a part of our social equity committee for about 2 years now. And that committee is really looking at social equity from different perspectives and through the lens of other people.
The hard part of it means taking on some difficult discussions. That's been a practice of this foundation, to have those hard discussions.
We understand that some conversations are not really easy to have, yet if there's a commitment to working through the tension, we believe that we can get to this place where, our grant making and all of our decisions reflect all of our values. And at the end of the day, we all want to be effective as we do this work. It's about changing lives. And so I believe that we're able to be effective and change lives as a result of the honest conversations that we have internally.